Bradley, real quick, Canelo Crawford, who you got next weekend? You don't know? You gotta pick one. You're a boxing fan. It's a good fight.
I like the boxing, bro. I'm probably go Crawford.
You gonna go Crawford?
That's tough. I don't know. I'm not a boxing expert. I don't know.
Are you gonna bet on it?
Yeah.
No. You the man. Good luck with the clip.
Excitement continues to build over the potential clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, with more and more figures from the boxing community sharing their thoughts.
Everybody's excited here in Vegas. The electricity is in the air. So look, even though these guys are combined almost 80 years old, it should be a good fight. And let me tell you why. Crawford is coming up 2 weight classes and he's coming off a year's layoff. So that's a huge advantage for Canelo. If Canelo forces his will on him, he'll probably be 190 pounds inside the ring on fight night. I give him a great shot in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th round to knock out Crawford. If he doesn't do that, then Crawford is gonna box his ears off. It might be another Mayweather versus Canelo. Remember when Mayweather was just schooling him and making him look silly?
Predictions are pouring in from every corner, and while experts don't all agree, one thing stands out. This matchup has gripped boxing fans everywhere. Considering the skill sets of both fighters and the buzz among insiders, it's no surprise this showdown is shaping up to be one of the most eagerly awaited in recent memory.
Kind of is guilty of that too in some ways. Like Amir Khan and Kell Brook, when Crawford got Khan and Brook, they were a shell of what they were before, you know? So again, it looked good on the resume, but they weren't really that, you know, those guys.
I'd argue neither of them looked good on the resume when they happened because everyone knew they were shells.
Yeah, by that point.
Yeah.
I mean, just because everybody's rah-rahing with their pom-poms when Canelo beats the same kind of guys doesn't mean that those guys weren't just a shot. Angulo was gone when Canelo fought. He dug him up out of the cemetery when Canelo fought him. And then Chavez, I don't even know what the point of that was, but obviously that was a money grab.
That was just Mexican versus Mexican.
Yeah, I get it. That was Mexican versus Mexican. I get it. But you know, I don't necessarily buy into it, but you know, you can always nitpick. You know, this is fight week. There's conversation points. There's debate topics, and obviously the Canelo bandwagoners are going to have their say, and the Crawford.
Of course, plenty of casual fans will jump on the discussion, but one opinion that really drew attention came from Roy Jones Jr., the former champion, who himself climbed divisions and even tasted success at heavyweight. Openly backed Crawford with striking confidence. Jones noted similarities between his own career moves and Crawford's willingness to take on bigger opponents. He argued that Crawford has carefully prepared his body for the size gap, giving him more pathways to victory than Canelo. In contrast, Jones suggested Alvarez has fewer options in the ring. He even went so far as to say that if he had a wager, he'd side with Crawford, pointing to the American's youth hunger and adaptability. What concerned Jones most, however, was whether Alvarez still has the same fire and drive that once defined him.
Luke, correct fight that he can fight, the only correct fight that he can fight, he does have a chance, and I think he could be victorious. If he doesn't fight the one way that he can only fight to win it, Terence Crawford has 6 ways he can win it. And my money will go on the man who has 6 ways to win it over the man who has 1 way of winning.
So you think Canelo has to kind of fight the perfect fight, right?
If he don't, he's in trouble. If he does...
Keith Thurman shared a different perspective, pointing out that Alvarez has never been completely untouchable. Every fighter can eventually be figured out. He questioned whether Canelo still carries the same edge, noting that in recent bouts the Mexican star hasn't been finishing opponents with his old trademark power. To Thurman, that opens the door for Crawford. At the same time, he cautioned that moving up in weight comes with risks. Crawford's quickness and fluid movement are key to his style, but extra pounds could potentially slow him down as the fight drags on. For Thurman, the delicate balance between size and sharpness is exactly what makes this matchup so intriguing.
Is him working behind the jab. He does not work behind the jab. He is not geared for the tactical approach. And the only other approach, which is the Hail Mary, is that you hurt the gorilla neck boy. You know, this freaking gorilla exercise.
Don't rely on that.
He's hard to hurt, man. He's hard to hurt.
Don't rely on hurting Canelo. I think
That's what I'm saying. Triple G didn't drop him. All these fighters been hitting him.
Take a page from Bivol and Mayweather. What they do, they fought behind the jab. They kept the distance. They've used the entire ring, and that's something that he can bring to the table. Use that distance from
Bivol
both
backed him
senses.
up.
But the funny thing is, with the extra body weight, is he agile?
Yeah.
Is the footwork going to be able to move, still use the ring, and as those later rounds, round 7,
That's what I
the
said to
second
you
half,
last week.
8,
14 pounds matters.
9, 10, you know, as the pressure continues. You know, the other thing too is Canelo lost a little bit of his bite. He hasn't been tremendously, you know, devastating and taking people out. So that helps. That re-establishes the fight and is in Bud Crawford's.
George Kambosos Jr., respected for his tactical mindset, outlined a straightforward game plan he envisions for Crawford. He believes the American will make Canelo chase him, exploiting the same difficulties Alvarez showed in his last bout with William Skull, where cutting off the ring proved a challenge. That observation raised doubts about whether Canelo has lost a bit of sharpness. Still, Kambosos emphasized that Alvarez has a history of rising to the occasion. Fighters of his caliber often find another gear when the spotlight is brightest, and he expects Canelo to tap into that in this showdown.
Dynamic, boxing attributes. And like I said, Canelo has to press Crawford. He has to be able to use his size, bully him, and able to land them shots that are going to hurt him and put him in 2 frames of mind. Now, Crawford, on the other hand, as much as the size difference doesn't really look like there is a size difference, there is a difference in the weight they've been fighting at. And like I said, Canelo's been fighting as high as a light heavyweight. Crawford, in his last fight, did go up to junior middleweight against Madrimov. He did seem to struggle a little bit with a guy at a higher weight. So now you're moving up to super middleweight, will have some effect. But again, it is the biggest fight of his life, biggest fight of Canelo's life, and you're gonna truly think that they're going to be prepared for anything. But the big thing is, will Crawford be able to dictate the fight against a guy like Canelo Alvarez, who's the bigger man? The guy's going to be pushing the pressure. We saw the way he dictated. And
Max Kellerman leaned strongly in Crawford's direction, basing his argument on career wear and tear. While both fighters are now in their 30s, Alvarez turned professional as a teenager and has already spent nearly 20 years at the sport's highest level. That kind of mileage, Kellerman noted, inevitably takes a toll. By contrast, Crawford looks the fresher of the two, even while taking on top-tier opposition, highlighted by dominant wins over Errol Spence Jr. and Madrimov. In Kellerman's eyes, Crawford is simply checking more boxes at this point in their careers, which shift the edge his way.
This fight, out of your top 3 to 5 of all the boxing fights you've called, you've experienced, you've watched, in terms
of the magnitude
of the magnitude,
fight? I mean, of the fights that I've called ringside, it might turn out to be number 1. I've done Pacquiao fights, I've done Mayweather fights, I've done Anthony Joshua against Klitschko. Those are big fights, but this will, listen, because of Netflix, this will be the most watched fight, championship fight, in almost 50 years. This is going to be because Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks in the rematch in 78, and they did 90 million TV sets. 90 million. And since then, what has even come close? The biggest fights have all been on pay-per-view, and they do 2 million buys. Oh my God, 4 million buys, Mayweather Pacquiao. As I keep saying, if 5 people per TV set watch, that's 20 million people. This is gonna do multiples of that. So when you look at it from like a commercial point of view, it'll easily.
Andy Ruiz offered a more balanced view, drawing on his own experience against heavy hitters. He acknowledged that Canelo's punching power demands respect from anyone who steps in the ring with him. At the same time, Ruiz highlighted a detail often overlooked. Alvarez hasn't always looked fully comfortable against southpaws. Since Crawford can switch seamlessly into that stance, it could prove to be a major factor. Even so, Ruiz held back from making a definitive prediction, noting that both fighters carry enough weapons to swing the fight in either direction.
Canelo Crawford card, that card would be a million times. It's still an amazing card, but you would have added a lot. Who wins, Canelo or Crawford? I think it's gonna be a good fight, man. I'm going for Canelo, of course. You know, he's the Mexican warrior as well. And for Crawford, man, you can't neglect him or you can't underestimate him as well. You know, he has a lot of skills, a lot of movement. He's a lefty as well. That's what Canelo has trouble with. I think it's gonna be an amazing fight, man. I just can't wait. And
John Ryder, who in 12 grueling rounds with Alvarez, knows better than most what it means to withstand Canelo's power. He still recalls how a single shot broke his nose and altered the course of their fight. From Ryder's perspective, this matchup is as close to an even contest as it gets. He praised Crawford's adaptability, his stance switches, footwork, and ability to attack effectively with both hands. Ryder is confident Crawford has studied the blueprint laid out by Dmitry Bivol, the one opponent in recent years to decisively outpoint Alvarez. Even so, he emphasized that Canelo's size and punching power remain dangerous factors, along with his trademark patience, gathering information in the early rounds before executing a fight-changing strategy.
Canelo, if you could give some pointers to Crawford, what should he do to come out victorious in September?
I think you just got to watch the Bivol blueprint, the in and out. I mean, a lot of fighters getting stick now for being runners, Tom and Jerry and whatnot. But stick to what you're good at. Terence Crawford is an exceptional talent. He's won titles through the weights, undisputed at 3 weights now. And listen, if anyone can do it, it's him. I think the weight will be too much of an issue. Canelo is a special talent. I think the weight will play a factor in the fight. But listen, Canelo once done it and made the step up to 2 middleweight. I would like Crawford to be more at light middle and middle to build into it, but you take these opportunities when they come, and that's what.
Edgar Berlanga, who also felt Alvarez's power up close, surprised many by siding with Crawford's chances. Berlanga acknowledged that Canelo's punches are punishing, something he personally experienced in their fight. He noted how countless opponents step into the ring full of belief, only to be systematically broken down, as seen with Jermel Charlo, Caleb Plant, William Skull, and even himself. Yet, Berlanga views Crawford as a different kind of challenge. In his eyes, Crawford's ring IQ, adaptability, and ability to make quick adjustments set him apart from those who fell short against Alvarez.
First of all, he got to go in there, he just got to fight him, you know what I'm saying? He got to go in there, I think Crawford just got to go in there and do what he got to do, you know what I'm saying? He got to just be Crawford, you know, show his IQ, show him why he's a 2-time undisputed, you know, world champion, and go in there with confidence, you know what I'm saying? That's all it is, you know, it's a big weight difference, a big weight jump, you know, that could be a difference in the fight, you know, because obviously, you know, it's like me jumping up to heavyweight. Obviously, I'm a feel the power, I'm a feel that size difference, you know, compared to my other fights. So I just think that he got to go in there and just be himself. And I said, if he loses, you know, we'll just all know that, hey, you know, he just jumped up 2 weight classes to be great. You know what I'm saying? It's not, he can't really, he's testing himself. He's testing himself a great fighter. So, and I don't doubt him, you know, I don't got no doubt in my mind. You know, he's a 2-time undisputed world champion for a reason. So, you know, and I don't think nothing's gonna phase him in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the power, maybe the size, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, Canelo, he's not knocking Canelo out. So, he just got to go in there, just IQ.
Would you lean towards Canelo still in that fight?
I got faith in him. I think Crawford could do it. You know what I'm saying? I think he could do it. Just like I said, just the size. The only shit that throws the fight off is the size and, you know, obviously the power. And Canelo's IQ too, because Canelo got IQ. You know what I'm saying? And Canelo fought a lot much bigger guys. You know, so I know the Crawford's power ain't gonna phase him. I know Crawford's size ain't gonna phase him either. You know what I'm saying? So, but for me,
Tim Bradley offered an interesting angle, highlighting Crawford's remarkable ability to recall and process details almost like a photographic memory. He explained that Crawford studies his opponents in a way few fighters can, quickly recognizing patterns and rarely repeating mistakes. Bradley predicted that Crawford would likely use the opening rounds to gather information on Alvarez before setting traps to exploit the Mexican star's tendencies. In Bradley's view, that level of adaptability could very well be the decisive edge that carries Crawford to victory.
Yeah, man, I was thinking, man, like, a lot of people is making a fuss about Crawford being out of the ring for over a year, you know. I'm not putting too much stock into that, man. I'm not really, you know, Floyd Mayweather's came back from after a year. Shoot, I remember John Jones, 3 years out of the game. You know, and I know it's a different sport, but it's still combat sports. 3 years out of the game, came back, faced the champion, beat him, beat the champion. You know, Crawford took the time to really build his body up, man, the way he needed to build it up. And I like his build because just looking at pictures and stuff like that, man, he put a lot of the weight on his legs. You know, that's gonna help with stability. That's gonna help with punching power. It's gonna help with his ability to be able to take a shot too. You know, he get razzled and dazzled in there from one of them big shots from Canelo. You know, he gonna have some stability. He gonna have a base to be able to keep himself up. Crawford has been working for this for the last year. He's been building. If you know anything about Team Crawford, man, and just anything about Crawford in general, he's probably one of the most disciplined athletes in the entire world. You know, he's a guy that stays in the gym year round. You know, never dull. You know, another guy Booth stays in the gym quite a bit too. He does. You know, I hear that from everybody. He's always in the gym. Crawford's the same way. He's a gym rat. Stays in the gym, always constantly doing something, you know, sharpening his tools, you know, working on his craft all the time, keeping a good weight. You know, Crawford in between camps, you know, he'll probably go up about 20-something pounds, you know, but it don't look bad on him. You know, it doesn't look bad on him. You know, when I had ran into him earlier, before this fight even was announced, you know, I would ask him, I'm like, how much you weigh? About 175. Not crazy, you know, not crazy. No, but he still looked good. It was a 175 in shape. It was a 175 in shape. Like, this dude can go run up and down the court, play basketball, you know? He can go out there and play football if he wanted to go play football, you know? Like, he's an athlete, a natural athlete.
Chris Algieri took a broader view, suggesting that the outcome may matter less than the courage Crawford has shown in pursuing this fight. In his eyes, the American has already secured his legacy simply by daring to face Alvarez at super middleweight. Algieri stressed that Crawford has consistently sought out the toughest challenges, and this bout is yet another example of him chasing greatness rather than settling for comfort.
It's going to be Crawford, and that's not going to be Canelo. They're going to be their peak of what they are at this point. Because again, Crawford is 38 years old. Canelo will be 35 by then. So I think they're going to be the peak for what they are at their ages. But it's easy to go, wow, what have you done for me lately? That's usually how everyone kind of sees everything. So, but I think it's good. I think it makes the fight more enticing if a lot of people are thinking that Crawford can win. And don't get me wrong, Crawford can absolutely win the fight. I'm not saying he can't win the fight. But in terms of, you know, how I see it, it hasn't really changed my thoughts because I know better than to just trust that last thing I saw because there's a lot.
Stephen A. Smith didn't hesitate to make a prediction, siding with Crawford to win on points. While he didn't see Alvarez being stopped inside the distance, Smith believed Crawford's speed, footwork, and stance-switching ability would allow him to outscore the Mexican star. He criticized Canelo's current style, arguing that Alvarez has grown too reliant on single-power punches instead of varying his offense. Against a tactician like Crawford, Smith felt that predictability could be costly. Still, he acknowledged the danger of Alvarez's natural size at 168 pounds, warning that Crawford cannot afford to get drawn into too many exchanges.
Who's gonna win the fight, man? That's coming up, the biggest fight in boxing.
Crawford.
Huh?
Crawford. I'm not hesitating. Crawford. I'm not even hesitating. Crawford.
You gonna stand on that all the way to September 13th?
I love Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo by decision. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo Alvarez. But I do believe that if you can box and you can move, that you can beat Canelo. You can outpoint him.
That's right.
When I think about Canelo, one of the things that I don't like about Canelo, despite his greatness, and a neck as wide as Broadway for crying out loud.
Right.
It's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yeah.
That's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, strong fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's gonna go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight. And and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard. You don't see him show up for fights not ready. He's always
prepared.
He's always ready.
gotta
He's
give him that.
always prepared. So I think he's the slower fighter, though. And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to.
Sebastian Fundora leaned in the opposite direction, backing Alvarez. His reasoning was straightforward. Canelo has been established at super middleweight for years, unifying the division and proving himself as the man to beat. Crawford, on the other hand, is venturing into unfamiliar territory. Even so, Fundora acknowledged that Crawford's adaptability always makes him dangerous, and if the circumstances align, the American is more than capable of pulling off an upset.
He's the new addition to 154. He's yet to fight there. Canelo brought him in camp specifically because he's a switch hitter like Terence Crawford. What do you make of Ennis just not being in your division and then him contributing to Canelo's camp heading into this fight? Is that a good move?
I think it's good for Canelo's camp to have a fighter like Ennis. Because, yeah, he likes to switch right-handed, southpaw. I think Canelo probably didn't need that. But, you know, the fact that Ennis went might cause a little bit of drama. I think he did for a dramatic effect. But, you know, great fighter at 147. But 154 is a different division. They have me in there, so.
Andy Lee framed the contest as a razor-thin chess match, where either man's strengths could tip the balance. He noted Crawford's proven ability to climb weight classes while maintaining his effectiveness, and highlighted Alvarez's mastery of subtle ring control. In Lee's eyes, this isn't the kind of fight likely to be decided in dominant fashion. It may come down to the slimmest of margins, perhaps a brief lapse or one flash of brilliance.
Over in Las Vegas, Canelo Alvarez takes on Terence Crawford. What are your thoughts on that sort of super fight, I guess you could say?
Yeah, what a fight. Very hard to pick a winner, isn't it? Very hard to pick a winner because, like every good fight, you know, no one really knows the skill and competitiveness and ring craft of Crawford, or, you know, then you can say the same things about Canelo, but just he has that size. And but I see Crawford in New York when Hamza fought Berlanga, and he doesn't look too small anymore. He's filled out a lot, looks quite big. It's a great fight. I think they're equally matched in skill, and it's going to be one of the best fights. It's going to, like, when you see how skillful both fighters are, the tricks they have, and how they fight. It should be one of the best fights of the last, I don't know how many years. You know, it should be up there with the best fights.
Zab Judah delivered one of the boldest predictions, highlighting Crawford's ability to control tempo, frustrate rivals, and stay a step ahead throughout a fight. He even suggested that Alvarez could fade in the later rounds, creating the opportunity for a potential stoppage in the championship stages. Judah pointed to Crawford's reflexes, ring IQ, and knack for systematically breaking opponents down as the qualities that could make such an outcome possible.
Canelo and Crawford.
No hesitation. No hesitation.
I want to see that fight.
Big Bud. Big Bud. We're going to have to throw Canelo up. We're going to have to pack him up, baby.
But how hard is the jump from 47 to 68?
I mean, listen, it's a very big challenge. But what I said, with his skills and the way he's adapted to the size, brother, when I seen him stand toe-to-toe and side by side, I said, game over. Terence Crawford. And listen, don't be surprised if he stops it. I'm telling you.
Who?
Don't be surprised.
If Canelo stops Crawford.
Bud Crawford stops Canelo.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I love you. Skills pay the bills.
The wide range of expert takes underscores just how evenly balanced this showdown appears. Some give the edge to Crawford's sharpness and fresher legs, while others lean on Alvarez's size and proven dominance at super middleweight. What everyone agrees on is that this fight won't be decided easily. The margins are razor thin, the variables many, and the stakes historic. When the final bell rings, it won't just come down to who hit harder or moves faster. It will hinge on adaptability, discipline, and the ability to rise when the pressure is greatest. Crawford brings intelligence, hunger, and the confidence of many analysts. Alvarez counters with power, experience, and a natural size advantage that can't be overlooked. However it ends, the result will shape not only the careers of these two champions, but also their place in boxing history.